It truly baffles me that we were never taught how to apply for and interview for jobs back in like high school or university. But you know what? That's okay. Fear not, I am here. Welcome back to another episode of the Straight Shooter Recruiter podcast. I am your host and producer, Miss Emily Durham. Yes, and the goal of this show is to help you thrive in your 9 to 5 and beyond. And baby, we're talking interviews today because rumor has it you need all of the inside tips and tricks. Yes, the ones that were previously gatekept or are super muddled and confusing online right now. You're not going to have to Google a dang thing after this episode. This is everything you need plus bonus pep talk. Yes, I want to get you in the zone. So at the end of these episodes, our little Sunday episodes, Sunday fun days, we have a pep talk. It is literally all you need to get your week on the right foot, feel good, feel more confident. We've got each other. Like that is truly the purpose and the soul that drives the show. And speaking of the show, friendly reminder that we are now doing 2 episodes a week. Every Sunday is your careers kind of short mini episode just to get you that information and get your week rolling. And then on Wednesdays, oh babe, on Wednesdays we gossip. That's our What Would Emily Do episodes. Every Wednesday, they're longer, they're chattier, and more importantly, my mother just texted. More importantly, they're answering your specific questions. So you can submit your questions with the links down below, either in a voicemail or in writing, whatever floats your boat, so that we can chit chat, we can talk. And if you want to get involved in the show and you want to be a part of deciding the topics and voting on our questions of the week, make sure you're checking out my Instagram at Emily the Recruiter because I post those on my stories. If you are just catching up on this season, last week we talked about why you're not getting interviews. So if you're still not getting those interviews, go back to last week's episode because this week is how to ace the interview once you actually have it. All of these tips are good for any level, whether it's your first job, you're transitioning your careers, this stuff works. It's tried and true, and it's a combination of things I've learned from people and obviously my experience as a career coach and recruiter. The first thing we need to tackle is your mindset because the biggest thing that messes people up before interviews is their mindset around the interview. We tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and that's natural, right? Like you want the job, you want to perform well, so you start to feel that anxiety. The problem is when we do that, we get so in our heads that we actually aren't performing our best and we're not showing our best. And we also, in addition to that, feel a lot of anxiety about, are they going to ask trick questions? Like, do they want to see me fail? The first thing you need to do before you even prepare for this interview is realize you have the interview because you are inherently qualified. Someone at that company sees something in you. You need to hear that again. Somebody at that company sees something they really like in you. That's why you're getting the interview. In fact, recruiters genuinely want to see you win. If it's an agency recruiter, they're literally going to make commission if you get hired. So obviously they want that. That's how they eat. If it's an in-house recruiter, because I've done in-house before where you work directly for the company, my targets were determined by how many people I hired. So the more people I hired, the better I performed. That's why I was a high performer girl, because I was pounding in those hires. They literally want to see you do well. It either gets them paid or makes them look good at work. All you need to do is help them see how fantastic you are and validate that what they saw in you is truly a good fit. Second thing you need to do is learn how to control your interview anxiety. Maybe I'll do a full episode on this because truly interview anxiety is real, even meeting anxiety. I remember early in my career, the way that I would get so nervous going into certain interviews or like meetings, I would get clammy. There was a point in time, dude, I had to purchase prescription deodorant for my hands because I was that anxious all the time at work that I actually had pools of sweat dripping from my hands. Maybe I should not have a microphone in front of me. That's okay. It's fine. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it going. Okay. So to control your pre-interview or work anxiety, what you need to do is focus on getting in your body. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you actually spend time to slow down your breathing, slow down your breath, meditate before your interview, go on a walk, do something to release some of those stress hormones and that anxiety you have so you can focus on being present and on slowing down, that's actually going to translate really well to your interview. So my biggest tips are be really regimented with your sleep, be regimented with your exercise, practice, really improving your mental health. For me, that's a combination of meditation, journaling, therapy, because I love therapy and I feel very privileged to have access to that. And talking to my friends, like having someone hype me up, hearing that someone believes in you before an interview is game changing. It really helps you rewire your brain. And there's a lot of studies, I'm tangenting, I'll get to the good stuff in a second, but like there are actual studies that show how we talk about ourselves chemically rewires our brain. Your brain literally operates differently based on how you speak about yourself. So if you keep saying, I'm not qualified, I'm really bad at interviews, you're going to believe it. And then every time you interview, you will expect to fail. Why would you do that to yourself? What if you replaced those words with, I'm learning to be a really good interviewer? I'm really learning to be really great at public speaking. That is going to rewire your brain, and your automatic thought isn't going to be, oh, I can't do this because I'm not qualified. It's going to be, oh, I can do whatever the hell I want. And that's liberating. That is going to rewire how you operate. Okay, mindset covered. Let's get into the prep. Number one, all of the tips and tricks you need are already right in front of you. For the most part, the career website and the job description has everything you need to be successful. The career website specifically is going to tell you everything you need to know about the company's values. I would highly recommend going in like with a notepad, going to the company's career website, look at the language they use. Do they talk a lot about innovation or giving back to the community? Like, what are the things that this company clearly values? Do the same thing on the job description. What are the core skills and the core values that keep getting brought up? Is it something more technical? Is it more about collaboration? Don't worry about having any answers prepared yet. Just make this into a list. Then from that list, I want you to highlight what are the things you have really good examples of. Start highlighting those. I've got great examples of innovation, collaboration, leadership, whatever it all is. Highlight those. The next thing you're going to prepare is what questions do you think they're going to ask you? Like, it really is as simple as that. We know in every interview, they're going to ask you to tell them a little bit about yourself or your introduction or elevator pitch. Do that. All you need to do is a couple of sentences to describe who you are, what you do, and what you want. That is your elevator pitch. And if you're looking at the skills you've highlighted and the stuff you know is important to the company, why wouldn't you say, I'm an innovative marketing professional who's passionate about teamwork and collaboration. I'm looking for an opportunity to do blah, 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 blah. And then suddenly the recruiter's ears perk up because you're dropping all of the words they're hearing every day at the company because it's in their emails, it's in their town halls, it's how they communicate with their boss, it's what they're being measured against. So when they hear you using the language they use, they go, okay, so this person is already thinking of these things, or they've done research, and I like both. Both of those are a win. There's a couple of other questions you're usually going to be asked. What are you looking for in your next role? Why are you leaving your, current employer? All of those are pretty common. So get prepared with what your answers are. My personal advice, honesty is always the best policy, and keep your answers to under a minute. You want to avoid talking shit. As much as I love talking shit. God, I love that. I introduced a secondary episode so you and I could talk shit. I love talking shit. Don't talk shit about your employer. If your boss is a nightmare, don't say, oh, I'm leaving because my boss is a nightmare. Like, it's not helping anybody. Don't do that. What you're going to do is fluff it up. Oh, I'm looking for an opportunity to do more of blah, blah, blah. Really appreciate my current employer, but what I'm really looking for is blah, blah, blah. Soften everything. Don't be negative. The biggest mistakes that I see in interviews are people being overly negative about their employers, people who talk too much, so their answers are like 5 minutes long, and people who aren't clear. What is the point of what you are saying? Like, ask yourself that. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to take a beat, breathe. When they ask you that question, think about what do they need to hear and deliver that in a way that is controlled. It is better to slow down than to word vomit. Always. And one of my favorite tips for not word vomiting in an interview is to get great at the STAR method. I've talked about, should I get a STAR tattoo? Maybe that's my next tattoo. The STAR method is a method of answering interview questions. And I'll actually link an episode in the description that goes deep into STAR. But essentially, it's a way of answering interview questions that is STAR, situation, task, action, result. You do 1 to 2 sentences to describe what was the situation, what was the task you were assigned, what were the actions you took, and what was the result. If you have examples ready to go based on that list that we put together, and then you practice answering a variety of questions using the STAR method, you will be so well prepared. And reminder, whoop, I hit the mic. Prepared is not the same thing as over-prepared. You do not want to write scripts. That's why I'm a big believer in notes, because I've actually seen this a lot. Oh my gosh, I've seen this so much in my career where candidates clearly over-prepared, and that comes from a really great place. Like, I love that. But then it sounds like they're reading a script. And I'm like, okay, did you actually work on this? Or are you just like rehearsing? Like, did you really do this? I'm confused. Or they're reading from a script and it's so robotic. I literally cannot tell you one thing about their personality because it's like, boo, 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 babbity, boo, boo. Like, that's not helpful. You want it to feel like a conversation. A really good interview is a conversation. The recruiter wants to be able to say, yeah, this person has the skills and this person's a cultural fit. And you cannot determine if someone is a fit for the company if you're not having an organic conversation. So don't over prepare, don't write a script, write bullet point notes and anticipate the questions they're going to ask based on the job description. So, going back to that job description, what are the core skills listed? What are the things you need to do, the responsibilities? And then think about what questions are they probably going to ask to determine if I have these skills. List out a couple of questions you expect, write out a couple of examples, and then practice, not with a script, but by literally putting your phone on wherever or like selfie it, pull a Gen Z, put it on 0.5 zoom, put that thing above your head so it's looking at your forehead, just like Gen Z does. God bless them. I love them so much. And answer your question like that. Answer those questions and go back and watch yourself. Like, what are your nervous tics? Mine is if I'm nervous, the way I talk so fast, it's impossible. So, truthfully, your recipe for success is getting your mind right, using the information that you already have to anticipate questions, practicing answering those questions, practicing your body language in clear, slow communication, and then also just using those personality enhancing tips like asking questions and being open to small talk to really build a long term relationship with that recruiter or with that hiring manager. At the end of the day, interviews are allowed to be scary. And if you're scared, that is a sign you care. And how cool is it that you are so passionate about what you do that you care this much? Being scared to not get something isn't a sign of weakness. It isn't a sign that you are underqualified. It's a sign that you are passionate. That's awesome. Give yourself praise and credit for having care and heart for what you do. Give yourself credit for putting yourself into these situations because it's scary, and give yourself extra credit. Like if I was a teacher, you would get an A++ because you are also using your free time to listen to a show like this and to learn and to grow and to invest in yourself. How cool is that? Not everybody does that. Not everybody invests in who they are. You should be exceptionally proud and be exceptionally gracious with yourself. It's okay to be a little scared. It's okay if this interview doesn't work out. And I'm not saying it's not going to because I believe in you, but it's okay if this isn't the dream job. That's okay. It's okay if this one isn't going how you want it to go. That's okay. You are going to get through this. You are going to get better and better the more you interview. And when you get that job, because I believe in you, I really, really do, you're going to keep interviewing. So you just become an expert interviewer over time. You are never going to stop interviewing, ever. That sounds like a threat. But truly, from the bottom of my heart, I am proud of you. I'm excited for you. If you have questions, things you want help with, like a pep talk, what do you need? I'm here. I'm literally your internet friend. Oh my God, did that sound creepy? I'm your friend who's on the internet? Mm, I felt a bit better, but not too much better. Anyways, I'm someone who loves and cares about you. How about that? And I just so happen to post on the internet. If there are things you need, send me your questions. I'll put all of the links down below. You got this, dude. I have no question in my head that you got this, okay? Love you. I'm proud of you. I will talk to you in my next episode, which is Wednesday, remember.